Right, I've picked up a Gameboy Advance, quite nice condition. And the eBay listing says Gameboy Advance, faulty, no power, selling as spares or repair, $24.99 plus £3.50 postage. It is in nice condition. Uh-oh. Oh dear. I think it's had a bath. That's not a good sign, Philip. The good news is, those side of the battery contacts are nice. But the bad news is, those sides of the battery contacts are terrible. And I hadn't noticed that earlier. Had I seen that in the listing, there's no way I would have picked this up. Oh, my heart's just sank a little bit. Let's get it open and see if it's as bad as what we're expecting. The word destroyed springs to mind. There's no click when I first turn these screws, so I think it's been opened before. It's a posi down here. It's got corrosion on. I have tested this with batteries and it doesn't start. Looking at the corrosion in there, if it's just a power switch problem, I'm going to be very lucky. But I don't think it's going to be. Are you ready? Ooh, that's not too bad. Although, it looks like the screen's taking a hit. Let's have a look at that power switch. There you go. Right, that's off. So if I remember rightly, when it's off, it's these two pins, and when it's on, it connects these two pins. So it just slides left to right like that. So if I bring my multimeter in, just seeing if I can get anything on that fuse. Fuse seems to be okay. So the power comes in on the positive terminal here, through this rather corroded, sorry looking fuse, to this pin. So I have it going through the pin so from the power positive through the fuse to the first pin, and then when we're in the on position, it should come to this pin. And it doesn't. Those two should be connected up. So we may just have a power switch fault. You can just see the hint of corrosion in there. So we'll take the top of the switch off and we'll see how bad it is. Might need a new switch. Oh. Well, that's why it won't come on. There's supposed to be a copper trace inside of there, so I'm going to use a little bit of white vinegar and look at that work. What I'll do is, if I can get this to actually switch on, I'll take the board out and give the board a good clean. One thing I could do, I could jump this pin to this pin with a little temporary wire, and that'll bypass this faulty switch. Or I could just put a new switch on. Got to be careful because the screen's still in here. like I say, I'll put a little jumper wire from there to there, just to make sure that this is going to actually come on before I get too involved. Okay, so now if I go from the battery terminal, I've got power. I might need to clean these two contacts up. Alright, can we get that back on? I don't need the switch, because the switch is now permanently on. Oh, I've got the system booting up, but the screen is faulty, or the screen connector is faulty. If we're lucky, it might just need a clean. It doesn't look too bad. It looks terrible that way, doesn't it? Doesn't look too bad there, but it looks terrible there. White vinegar. That looks much better. But in there it's going to be covered, isn't it? So this is IPA. I'll put that in there. Turn it upside down so it comes out. That might be fine. I'll blow that out with some compressed air. Right, let's try that. Now I've got power. I didn't hear a beep, and I've got no picture now. Well, I had a picture, didn't I? Or I had something, but now I've got nothing. I've made it worse. That can't be right. I've got a bit WD-40 contact cleaner. And this is me canned air. No picture. No picture and no audio now. Volume's all the way up. Oh, there is a picture. I'm getting something. It's like the screen's warming up. Right, let's get the board out and the screen out, and we'll see what else we've got. It's possible there's something jammed in there. That doesn't explain why the speaker hasn't came on. Is there just two? One, two. Should there not be one there? Wait. Oh, that doesn't look too bad, does it? The pads are okay. What about this one? They're okay. There's some corrosion on there and here. Some bits on the bottom of those pins. The speaker did definitely beep earlier. There's some wires corroded here. The start and select button doesn't look very good. This is the bit I want to concentrate on. I cannot see anything wrong with the pins in there. those don't look very good. So I'll put some white vinegar on there. You can see it bubbling and doing its thing. I wonder if I've got a loose pin. They seem okay. If this is the display connector, these pins here must be in charge of outputting to the connector. So we'll give this a clean up. I'm going to switch to some IPA. Right, they're looking a bit better. So we'll try that. And I'm going to swap over and use my bench power supply for the 3 volts that I need. So that's positive. This is negative. And we'll give it 3 volts. Still nothing on that screen. Now it's not drawing any power. It's switching itself off by the looks of it. It's drawing a bit of current and then turning itself off. So I'm going to disconnect this screen and try again. Still the same. I think this is the DC to DC transformer. They look like a couple of little transistors and they had quite a bit of corrosion, so I'll just see if there's anything going straight through them. Doesn't seem to be. It seems strange that those are all connected up. Let's dig out the schematic for this and see if we can find out why these are connected to each other. Right, well that's T1 and that's the component there. Not much help. Might all be connected after all. Right, so I'm in continuity mode and I'm just going to check some diodes and some capacitors. Can't seem to find any shorts. What's that? AM5 and AM6 are coming up. But I think that's correct. Yeah. I don't like that shorting out. I don't know if it's correct. I might have to open another system up and have a look. Let's plug this back in. I'm switched off. Switch back on. Ready? Right, now the screen's come on straight away there. I think I'm going to have to try a replacement screen. So that means I'm going to have to open up a new system. I wonder what that one's out for. That had a short underneath the CPU to the memory and it would only play a certain game. And that needs a new power switch, but I'm sure that worked. Perhaps I need a screen. I've got a screen there, but I don't know if it works. Let's try it. Right, we'll try this unknown screen in here. Oh, it's not a... It's got a different connector. Oh no, the connectors are a different size. It's the first time I've came across this problem. Oh no, right. I'm going to plug it into this one and see if it works. Right, let's power this board up. Yeah. So this system is working. Unfortunately, I cannot test the screen, but I can have a look at this. Are these connected to each other? Yes, they are. Yeah, so that's normal. I'm going to be at a bit of a loss unless I can find a screen for that. Right. Got a blue one. Got a clear one. That one's got a Retro 6 mod in it. IPS screen malarkey. Another one there. So I've got 3. And I'm not going to know unless I open them up. Oh, hang on. These are clear so you can see through them. So that is the same size as that one, so that's no good. That one's the same, so that's no good. So I've only got this purple one, which might have a smaller screen in. Right, Philip, are you going to get lucky? You're not going to get lucky. Right. Back to the drawing board. Let's have a think. What options do I have? I'm not convinced the problem is with the screen. I'm inclined to believe that's a problem with this connector and perhaps some of the corrosion around here. There's some wires here with corrosion on. If that's for the clock, that wire might mean it's not switching on properly. There could be some corrosion underneath this connector. Pins on the game cartridge, that look terrible. Pins on the LCD connector don't look too bad. I mean, they look good. But I guess it just takes one pin not to connect properly. Perhaps we're losing contact here. This looks like water damage underneath the plastic. Can't really scrape that off. You can see that's looking green. Perhaps I'm losing connection there. I don't fancy scraping all of them off. I don't think it's going to be that. I wonder if I can put that in there and check from continuity from the top to the pins. That one, 4th one in, is not showing anything. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4th one in is showing a resistance of about 440 ohms. A little bit of corrosion on pin 4, look. 4th one in there. Surely it's not going to be that easy. It's hard to see if I've got it. Let's try it. Let's see if we've got contact first. Yes, we do. If this works, that's too easy. I don't think this is going to work. Right, switch on. So when you're drawing 0.7, it jumped up to 1 point something. There's the screen, look. Screen seems to be warming up. I wonder if that's a capacitor fault. No, that looks damaged. I'm going to let it warm up and see what it does. I'll just switch off. Switch on. That looks like water damage. It's trying though. I think this is going to be another fail. Until I get another screen, I can't take it any further. It's just getting darker and darker. That's a shame. I'm not going to plug a game in. There's no point in messing the game up with that being as bad as that. I'd like to know why the audio didn't come on though. Just going to plug in a replacement speaker. Mind you, this headphone jack looks a bit grotty. Right, turn that off. Turn it back on. I can hear the speaker clicking, but the audio doesn't seem to be coming in now. I'm positive I had audio earlier. There's definitely a connection onto that speaker though. I'm going to have a bit of a poke around with it. Interestingly, if I power this one on without any screen, it takes 0.047 of an amp. And this one only takes 0.014, so it's as if something's not turning on this one. I've added a couple of leads to power this on easier, and the amps has jumped up to 0.04, which is right, or about right, according to the other one. So we'll switch that off. We'll try it with the leads soldered on. Just seems to be a strange pattern on the screen. I don't know why I'm not getting audio now. This is my known working board from earlier, and if I check the schematic here, speaker out is on pin 17, so it obviously plays a tune when it boots up. So I can use my probe on pin 17 of the audio chip and switch on. And I get the boot up sound. But it doesn't happen on this board. So this board is not booting up. So I'm going to start checking the voltages on the CPU. On U1, which is the CPU, I should have pins 115 and 117 look like they're connected together to VDD test point 2. Just check I've got voltage for the board. I do. Yeah, 2.5, and this one, which has got 2.5, so that's correct. So the next one is 44 and 65 connected to VDD2. Well, 64 is the top corner, so that should be 65, and it is. We've got 2.5 volts. 40, 41, 42, 43, 44 connects to this C15 here. Yeah, 2.5. Pin 1, pin 103, or pin 1's easy to find. Yeah. And pin 103 should be this one. 3.3, yeah. 38, that should be this bottom one next to the capacitor. That's got 3.3. Yes, and I think that's it. That reset pin should be high, I would expect, at 125. Sure, it's one. I'm sure it goes high when it's on. There's 128 at the bottom. 128, 27, 26. So that should be the reset pin, I think. That's 3.2. So that looks like it's working correctly. Now I'm a bit unsure about these clocks, because if I go to Hertz duty, I don't get anything. I don't know if my multimeter is capable of reading it. I'm going to switch off, and I'm going to switch on and keep an eye on that multimeter. Nothing. Try this one. Switch on. See, it's nothing. I think I'm going to have to set up my oscilloscope and see if I can read this. I've checked the test points and I cannot see any that's got missing voltage. So that's got VCC on 37 and 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So that's got voltage. 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. 37 it is. 2.5. I cannot see a reset pin. I don't know if there is one. That's the amp. May as well check it. 14 and 16. 14. Yeah. 15, 16. Yes. So the amp has got power. I think I'll bring that other motherboard in that's working, and I'll see if I can check the clock pins using this multimeter. 4.19 definitely on CK2. Right, swap them boards back over. There you go, it's reading 50, and I haven't got the probe on it. So I switch on, I'm not getting anything on CK2. Clutching at straws here, trying to read something. I'm sure I have read a 4.19 before on this board. So where is that getting power from? That's it there. Must get the power from the CPU then, does it? So there's no power coming to this at all, it's through the chip. I've got 50 Hertz. I'm not getting anything. I'm trying to find 4.19. 2.2 kilo ohms on that resistor. 2.2 kilo ohms, that's correct then. And 1.5 mega ohms. 3 mega ohms. 1.4 mega ohms. So this resistor is double what it should be. So could that be the fault? Shall I take it off and swap it over? I'm going to swap those resistors over. This is the non-working board. This one's the working board. I'm going to measure that one. 1.4. I've got them mixed up, haven't I? That's the good one. 1.4, I'm sure it is. This one should be 2 point something. No, that's measuring 1.52. So they're both okay. Out of circuit it measures right. That's a shame. They've got to go back on now. I've got a reading between those pads. 495, 500. I'm in the 500 kilo ohms range. And the other board, 4 mega ohms. And the non-working board, 400, 500 kilo ohms. So there's definitely something going on. I'm wondering if I should swap this over. That's interesting because I've got this pin goes to CK2 straight through, but this next one open. Why is that open? That surely goes to that pin there. Let's clean that up. Can it be? Surely it cannot be faulty. Surely there's not a break in there. Let's go to beep mode. So CK2, yes. CK1, nothing. CK1 goes to there, but it doesn't seem to go from there to the pin. There doesn't seem to be any damage, but I'll have to scrape it back and have a look. Why is it not going to there? That's okay, but it is now, but I don't know if the pad might have lifted. It certainly wasn't earlier. Can't really trust it now. I think I'll reinstate that resistor and we'll put a little wire from the resistor to here just to be absolutely sure, and then we can test it again for a signal. Let's measure it again. Should have 1.5. There's something not right here. 2.2 kilo ohms, that was right, but this shouldn't be. That's only going from there. Oh, I wonder if it's this break. If this is broken, that's going straight through now. That's going through there now. Oh, it's not going to be the bloody problem, is it? Let's switch on, power on. I didn't hear a beep, so I don't think it's working. Go back to duty cycle. Nothing. I'm going to reinstate this. Switch this one on. And am I going to be able to read a signal? No, I think I'm going to have to get my oscilloscope on here. See, there's a 50 hertz again, but I don't know why I'm getting 50. It's gone. That should come straight from there. That should come straight from there, I would have thought. 50 hertz. I don't want 50 hertz, I want 4.19. Why is it doing that? I don't know, I'm going to have to read up on these. I'll tell you what I'll do though, I'll switch off. Just to make sure this board's still working to some extent. I'll plug my speaker in. Actually, I'll just plug the speaker into the headphone jack. Well, I'm not getting anything out of the headphone jack now. Well, this is going... Looks like this is going from bad to worse. This was working before I took that resistor out. Right, power on. And now it's not working. That's my test board knackered. Right, I've just reflowed that resistor there. So we'll switch that back on. There we go. Phew. Gonna have to take this off and swap it. See if that's what the problem is. I'll get my oscilloscope out and I'll use that first on both of them. See if my oscilloscope gives us a better reading. So I've got my scope set up here. And this is the working board, and if I go on that test point CK1, I do get a signal, and if I press frequency, it says 4.2 megahertz in the bottom corner here. So that's working. So we'll disconnect this. We'll bring in the the non-working board. We'll power it on and we'll test this one. I'll hit auto. That doesn't look right, does it? I can hit frequency and it's jumping all over the shop. That doesn't seem to be working. Is it a problem with the CPU causing it, or a problem with the crystal? Do I swap them over? It's the only way I'm going to learn. I'm a bit dubious about this capacitor because it looks a bit bulged. It doesn't look too bad from the side. I'm just wondering, what capacitor is that? CP3? I'll have a look on the schematic and see where that goes. I notice it's got a low battery section here. That must be what that little red LED is for. CP3, yeah. That's the inductor, CP3, and it goes along to VDD3. So that's the 3-volt line. I wonder if I can see if it's faulty. I'm going to try. I know it's in circuit, but let's just try 545. That's the good board. 547. That might be about right. I don't want to, but I think I'm going to have to swap this. This is the known working one. I don't know if it's safe to use hot air on a crystal. I don't know how I'm going to give it up. I might have to use hot air. Can I get anything underneath? Right, we're going for some hot air. Easy. Right, remember that's a good one. There was no way I'm going to get desolder all of this with a soldering iron. Right, let's hope this one comes off just as easy. And it did. All those pads are, there's only 2 connections on the bottom here. Was it that way? Or was it the other way? I'm going to have to, oh no. Does it matter? The way I've took that off and put that over there suggests that it came off that way. But I'll have a quick look. I've put that back on, but I wasn't recording. I'm just going to wait for that to cool down. Right, I've ripped that off. The pads have lifted a little bit, but they'll be okay. Multimeter is reading 573 microfarads, 550 microfarads. So that might be okay. Right, I've got a new capacitor. The new one's a little bit smaller, but it'll fit. Tell you what, there's not much of a gap between them pads. Just going to make sure I've got that centre, because if it's not centre, it's going to short itself out. Right, that's okay. Look at the state of this. I don't know why I bother. I just like the challenge. I was wondering if that capacitor was on its way out and it had just popped itself when I tried it the first few times. Right, now it's not taking any current at all. Can it be that capacitor, surely? What have I done? Have I got any voltage on my new capacitor? Yeah, I've got 2.9. I have put it on the right way, haven't I? I've put a replacement capacitor on, but now it doesn't seem to be taking any current. I'm wired up correctly. Not having much luck. Right, there's my capacitor, 2.9. So that's okay. Have I got voltage coming down to here? Perhaps not. Have I got voltage on this chip now? No. No, I haven't. So what have I done to that capacitor? I've got voltage on the bottom on the DC to DC converter. 2.9, 2.9. That might be going in. This TP up here, nothing. Let's have a look at this capacitor again. I've got voltage to it. Gordon Bennett. Let's see where that capacitor goes. Right, I don't know where I'm recording from. I'm putting the old capacitor back on. I'm making a right pig's ear over. Still got me 3 volts. He goes to there okay. And then to ground, so he looks like he's okay. But it's not switching on. It's not taking any current now. See, I'm not getting anything there. No, it is. Something not right here. There's something not quite right here. I don't know what it is, but I should have continuity from this capacitor to here and this pin, and I'm not getting it. I'm sure I should have. Something not quite right with that pad. I'm going to... Last thing for today is to try and bridge that pad. I'm sure that should come straight to there. And it does. And it does now. Right, it does. Right, switch on. Still not getting anything. You swine. I wonder if that's working now. I know this doesn't work very well. Well, it looks like I'm getting something from there now. It's jumped up to 50, which I know is wrong, but I think that's the multimeter reading it incorrectly. I'm sure this LED is quite close to the power switch, so I might be able to work out. So that goes straight to U4, R33, VIN, and pin 1 on U4. So there's U4. Have I got any voltage on U4? Yeah. This is interesting. If I go into diode mode on my multimeter, I get a red light for low battery, I would have thought. But the green one's not lighting up. Look at the state of it now. Made a right mess of it. I'm just looking at the voltage for the pin 1 in the CPU. Comes to here. A little wire there. Which is underneath there. Which is highly annoying. I don't know why it would go off now. And it connects to VDD3. Wherever on earth that is. There's VDD 3.5. What a pain. There's VDD3, nothing. VDD2, nothing. 2.9, I've got it over here. No VDD5. Last thing I want to do is to start messing around with more of it, unless I can work out what I've done wrong. I'm gonna have to assume I've done something wrong here. Right, where am I? So there's no voltage on pin 1 of the CPU. I've been using the board scans to trace where it goes, and it eventually comes to pin 12 on U4, which appears to be some kind of voltage regulator. On the working board, pin 12 outputs 3.3 volts, but it doesn't on this one. I'm missing 3.3 volts on pin 14, which is the reset pin. I'm missing 3 volts on pin 8, so that's VDD3. Pin 14 is reset, and that just goes down to reset here, which connects up here to pin 125 on the CPU, but that connects to VDD3. So I think VDD3 is missing, so it can't reset. Perhaps something like that. But if that's the case, that's handled by pin 8. The voltage regulator does have voltage in, but it's not outputting anything. So do I go ahead and swap that out? Just seems to be getting more and more complicated as I go along. I'm not sure if this is gone. I'm going to have to swap this over. I don't really want to, but let's go for it. Go and pop this back on here. Wait for that to cool down. Those pins seem okay, so while that's cooling, I'll put the other one on this board. Let's see if it's made any change. It's still taking no voltage, so I've got 3 volts coming into the board, 3 volts to the regulator, and still 0.6, 0.7 coming out. So we'll try this one. This was the working one, although I use that term lightly. I've got 3.3 volts, 3.3 volts coming in. I've got the 2.9, which was right. I'm going to swap them back over. It's still not working, so I've still got my 2.9, but nothing out of the pin 8, which I think was the 3 volts. And I'm supposed to have quite a bit coming out of the bottom pin, but nothing. And the one that was working does look like it's still working. It's got 0.04 of a current draw. I've got 2.9 on there. That's the 3.3 that powers the CPU. So this is working, but it's not working on the other board. So there's still a problem with the other board, and it might center around this voltage regulator. Right, I think I'm missing the 3-volt rail because I've botched this capacitor. So I've been using this board scan, and it appears from the positive side of this capacitor goes up through here to this pin at the top here, and that's pin 8 from the positive side of this capacitor. Here's the schematic for it, and there's the capacitor CP3, and it does indeed, or it should go up to pin V out 3, pin 8. I don't know why it's V out, because I'm assuming that's 3 volts to this chip. But if I do a continuity test from the positive here up to pin 8, which is the top one, it's not connected. So I think we'll take that capacitor back off, clean it up, put this one back on properly. I might even put the other one back on. I've got a smaller one here, 470, 6.3 volts. Might even put that one back on. But I know the pad was a little bit damaged when I prized this one off. So we'll do that, and we'll see if we can get 3 volts back onto here, and it might just give with 3 volts on pin 1 of the CPU, pin 1 down here of the CPU. See, the pads have pulled up. I'm sure I can fix it. Right, let's see if the pad goes to here. And it doesn't. Hang on. I think that is why it's not working. I think that is the line, and with that being lifted up, that's the break there. I'll double check that actually on the yeah. So looking at that, the pad needs to connect to these 2 wires here, and then through here to the top, and the bottom pad needs to connect to this wire to ground it. These 2 are for this pad, and this one, I am on the wrong thing. So that one's okay. This one, if I can jam my multimeter in there, that does connect, which is probably this little section here that's not pulled up. So if I put a trace wire on there, when I put the capacitor back on, there's a good chance it's going to come loose. So we're looking at that, it does run there. It must run up here. Yeah, brilliant. So we just need to put a little wire on there of a blob of solder to keep this down while we put a new capacitor on. There is a chance that jumper is going to come off when I put the capacitor on. Yeah. The board is so badly corroded, I'll be happy if I can get it to boot up with a ping from the speaker. I don't have a screen to test it because it's got this silly little small connector on. Right, so that's now connected up, and that does go to the ground on the battery terminal. But if I can just get this to boot up, I'll be over the moon. Right, let's hook some power up and switch on. Excellent, it's working. I don't know if you heard that, but I'll switch it off. Right, that's actually booting up. Well, I'm getting the audio. Brilliant. So what was the problem? I think the problem was quite possibly I can't believe it. I think the problem was this crystal oscillator. But mind, I might change my mind when I've edited the video. So where's the screen? I know the screen's faulty. Let's see how faulty this screen is. Previously I thought it was damaged down here, or up here. I'm going to plug a really old game into it. Will it play Game Boy Color, Blue Bear, or something like this? I better switch off. crunchy. It should be okay. Switch on. I got a beep. If I got a beep, that means it's... Does that mean it's running the game? Oh, it is, listen. Actually running the game. But the screen is kaput. How on earth is it running the game with corrosion like that? Wonder if I can get that switch put back together. I cannot believe that's working. I cannot believe that's running a game. With the... Look at the corrosion in there. Blimey. There's part of it. And there's the top. Now the important thing with this switch is it's got this little... It's got a little copper spring type thing under there. But that looks okay. How close can I get? It's still got the little prongs on the end. Right, well, we need some vinegar on there. Magic of vinegar. And I've got the back of that. That's the cover. May as well put some on there. We'll pop some more in the actual switch itself. This is a great result. I'm enjoying this. Look how well that comes up. Of course, if this switch doesn't work, I can put a replacement in. Now what we've got going on in here. This one should go to there. And it does. This one I think goes to there. Perhaps not. Oh, it does. I think I'll just use a pair of tweezers to roughen it up. And then I'll put a little bit of deoxit in. That's coming up great. I think that's good enough for me. Let's get rid of that jumper wire. We'll clean up these pins on the power switch and the two ends, and then we'll put the switch back together and we'll see if it works. Oh, I put too much in. Blimey. Costs a blooming fortune, this stuff. Sure, that'll do. Might be a bit too much, I don't know. I'll take a little bit out. Right. I just hope the top goes on. Right, perfect. So over here, it should be, and it is, and over here, it should be these two. And it is. So I think the idea is when you turn it off, which is over here, I'm sure it connects to this little bleed resistor down here. And that just drains the caps. So if we power this back on, we should hear a ping. And we... Oh no, we don't. What are you not pinging for? I don't believe you're not working now. Have I got me on and off position the wrong way around? It's not drawing any current. Have I got voltage on the battery terminals? No, I don't. I've connected the wrong negative up from the power supply. And we've got it connected up to the power supply properly. Boots up. If I put a game in, that way. Let's recognise the game. Come on, start. There. I think that might be Tom and Jerry. Off and on. Huh. So it's running. Fantastic. Can I believe it? So, interestingly, it'll run the game without the screen. So I'm free to have a look at this screen and see if there's anything I can do with it. I don't think I'll be able to do anything with this, but I'd like to have a good try. I remember thinking there might be some corrosion down here. I was expecting to see some more damage behind here, but it looks quite clean. Perhaps I should cut 1mm off the end of this cable so that when it goes into the connector it connects a little bit higher up before I do anything else. So I can't really see a great deal wrong with it. That just comes all the way down to here. There's no signs of damage in there. So I'm wondering if that's the problem. Just a line of corrosion along here. Or is it just the screen not connecting here? This plastic covering isn't easy to pull off. So I've tried 3 there and there's no breaks. I'll try a couple more. Yeah, that's alright. I think I'll trim the end of this off just to move the contacts a little bit further up and see if that makes a difference. Let's try that. Clutching at straws, but it's worth an experiment. Okay, switch on. No. That screen is toast. It's a shame I haven't got another screen to try in this one, because I still don't know if it's the screen or the output. I've got to be careful because I've peeled the foam off the back, so that'll be conductive. Just trying to apply a bit of pressure onto the board to see if it changes the screen. It doesn't. I think that's it for the video. I'll put a little bit of glue around this capacitor just so it doesn't come off. Yeah, the screen's doing some strange things. It's like it's warming up. I wonder if I could warm the screen up. So if I set my hot air to 100 and just warm that screen up. But I'll turn it off, turn it over, let some heat into here. Oh, it's made by Sharp, look. Made in Japan. No difference. No. I'm just warming the back of the board up just to see if I can make any difference to that screen. Nah. So I think this screen is faulty, but I couldn't let the video end there. So I actually found a seller on eBay selling a 32-pin screen for £2 plus £1.35 postage. And that is Retro Games Heaven. And it came super quick, so I thought I'd try it. So this came this morning. I genuinely haven't tried it. So if this screen works, great, because the system works. But if this screen doesn't work, and it displays the same fault as the other one, well, that's going to have to be part 2 of a video. So what do you think? Is this going to switch on? Right, I'm connected up. I'm going to give it 3 volts. Oh, I haven't turned it on at the power supply. Right, ready? There. Fantastic. So, that screen's working okay. Let's try a game. Right, we've got Tom and Jerry. I'll switch on. So there's the picture. The shoulder buttons appear to be working. Great. Well, I'm going to put that back together. Right, here we go. the ultimate test. It's all back together. That spoiled it there, but do you know what I've done? I haven't put the screen ribbon cable back in. Oh God. Right, well, if this doesn't turn on, I'm gonna cry. I'm going to put Tetris in, and here we go. Brilliant. Okay, so that's working as it should. Select here toggles the next block on or off. So select and start are working. Left, right, up and down are working. A and B are working. And both shoulder buttons are working. And for the Game Boy Advance game, I'm going to use the GT Championship, because I have had Game Boy Advances work on games, but not this one. So this one is a little bit harder for the Game Boy Advance to run. That's come up straight away. And I'm just going to wait for it to start to play the full motion video. There we go. How do you make it go fast? Come on. Oh, you've got to hold down the trigger button. Right. That's working fantastic. Right, that's it for the video. So it appeared to be, it did switch on straight away, so it was just a faulty screen. But during the testing, the trace for the crystal oscillator was intermittent. If I had fixed that trace straight away, I wouldn't have messed around with the capacitor and swapping the crystal out and what I think is a voltage regulator chip. I would have just fixed the intermittent fault on that trace, and I would have been done and dusted. But so I went a bit around the block on this one. But that's it for the video. Thanks for watching. It is a good fix, and I hope to see you all in the next one.